to the sidelines. Has a man wide open. It's tipped. It's picked off. MJ Devonshire got face. He's going to take it to the end zone. Pittsburgh takes the lead.
He loves those moments. It reminds me of last year in the Garden against St. John's. And guys just stepped up. Blake hits a what the hell 3. You know, we're like, what are you doing? And he's done that all year.
Klicka out to Bizzario. It's over! The Pitt Panthers have upset Wisconsin.
Anybody if he hits his field goal. Up and got it! Sauls does it again!
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Simple 5 Podcast. I'm your host, Zack. Just me this week, a little bit of a solo show. We got some busy weeks outside the podcast life for Kent and Mason. They'll be back next time. Don't worry about it. They're not being held at a CIA black site prison, and if they were, you wouldn't know about it. Since we last talked, since before the UNC game, Pitt lost the UNC game in a pretty embarrassing fashion. I believe the final score was 41-24. So I do want to talk about that game, but not for too long because I think a lot of things that can be said about that game have been said by people other than me. I'll start off by addressing the defense. One, we always get penalized about 1 million times every time we play UNC. And we never really sort of account for that or change any sort of game plans, like tell guys to maybe be more careful this game because the refs always seem to be more liberal with throwing that banana peel when we play UNC. But the other thing is I'm not too concerned with the performance of the defense. Obviously, the offense didn't help them out much, especially at the end of the first half where they were going consistently 3 and out. But I think Drake May is sort of the quarterback that is built to completely implode a Pat Narduzzi defense. I mean, he's one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the nation as far as, NFL draft boards go for a reason. He is disgustingly accurate down the field. He can move in the pocket, scramble for a first down. So even when guys are covered up, and the main problem on Saturday's game was that the pass rush wasn't getting home very much or very often. He had pretty much all day in the pocket. So on the chance that things were covered downfield, he could just easily go 8 or 9 yards for a first down because all of his receivers had cleared out the space in front of the pocket. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got on the defense. I'm not too concerned. It's just they played one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. As far as the offense goes, I think, at least if you're a listener to this podcast, I hope you're on the same page as me. But yeah, Frank Cinnetti's just got to go. The offense outside of the first scripted drive always looks, even on that first scripted drive, it looks slow and disjointed and overly labored. Like it's always struggling to get a first down. You're never getting a big play. It always seems like an accident when you get a big play, right? You're always at like 3rd and 6 and we get 7, or it's 3rd and 3 and we get 4. There's never any sort of threat to even break a play open. And, obviously that was Izzy last year, and with Izzy gone, this offense looks a lot worse when you don't have a guy just breaking runs, sort of like once or twice a game. So that sucks. I don't know. I just think Frank Cinetti has to go. His offense system stinks. The O-line, even though we had 2 new starters on the O-line this week, man, was it bad. And I hate to single guys out, but it was very evident that Branson Taylor and Ryan Baer looked like... Ryan Baer's an underclassman, so I get it. But Branson Taylor, there was one play that really grinded my gears. It was a play where Phil takes like a 20-yard sack moving backwards, gets sacked like the 1-yard line. Branson Taylor clearly false starts this play and then just gets beat straight up. His guy just goes around him. Phil runs backwards. That's a different issue. But not good. Jason Collier is still not great. Carter Johnson is still not awesome in these like tight end. They're not pull blocks, but when they come up with formation, try and kick out the end, he's bad at that. He got just Rodney blown up on a couple runs. And then I guess the most important thing that happened last week is that Phil went out with an undisclosed injury at the end of the first half. It was part of the game where the broadcast was so bad that you couldn't really tell what was going on. Fuck you, ACC Network. As far as what I thought about Christian Bear, he looked like an underclassman. There was a play where he threw about 4 yards past the line of scrimmage. He wasn't making all the right reads, but he's an underclassman. The most important thing, and this is a very low bar to clear, is that his balls had zip on them. They went to the right place, for the most part, when he wasn't throwing arm punt interceptions. And he's accurate. His throwing motion is pretty consistent, and it sucks that it's a step up from the starting quarterback, but it is. And, the offensive line didn't do him very many favors. Sivo Flemister dropped a first down catch near the end of the game, or at some point in the fourth quarter. Don't have any real thoughts because I think you can't fairly assess anybody in this offense because the scheme stinks so badly. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Phil's going to be back for the Virginia Tech game. We still don't know who's starting. Probably not going to know until game time. But, yeah, pretty much nothing to learn from this game except confirming our priors that Frank Scanetti is ruining this team and ruining my beautiful sport. What has happened to my beautiful Pitt football team who could score from anywhere on the field only 2 years ago. I forgot about this. This made me mad when I remembered about this. The Drake May left-handed touchdown pass. That is just stunting. That's stunting on us, I'll be honest. Nate Temple should have finished that sack to stop the play and then circling back to the refs not calling anything in a UNC game. Clearly there's like a wide receiver blocking Donovan McMillan about 4 yards past the line of scrimmage, so that probably should have been called back. But yeah, that just kind of encapsulates how the game went for us. Just nothing went right. Everything went right for UNC, and yeah, let's bury the tape on that one. If you want to recap the rest of week 4, I will say if I'm buying non-Pitt teams to go to the playoff, I'm buying stock in Texas, Florida State, Washington, and Oregon. Florida State just basically knocked out Clemson from the ACC title race, so that's one less hurdle they've got to clear. Clemson's 0-2. I think even though Florida State didn't look great, they have still answered the bell every time, and they're 4-0, and they've got to win over Clemson, so that's huge for them. Texas just looked great they took care of business at Baylor. Washington dumping 59 on Cal. Very impressive considering this game ended 59-32. It wasn't that close. Cal had a bunch of points in garbage time, but at halftime this was like 44-6. So kind of gives you the idea there. And then Oregon, I think they're the other favorite in the Pac-12 right now. I don't really believe in USC with that defense, but Oregon they sent Colorado back down to earth. I think we were all expecting that based on Colorado's line play. And, Oregon was mean in this game. They were throwing on 4th and goal up 40-0, so I was very rude of them. Also, unfortunately, I do have to say, Penn State might be real. We gotta start developing some narratives to cope with this because Michigan has looked not bad, but not impressive, and Ohio State still continues to win with just an offense that's like slightly better than Pitt's offense in terms of they do score points, but it does look disjointed and labored and stupid. Also, shout out Wazoo in the real Pac-12 championship. The entire state of Washington might have some really good football this year. And then before we move on to, or I guess I move on to my Week 5 preview, just some Pitt news. Don't want to spend too long on this because if I do, I'm going to talk in circles. But Eric Ingerson has flipped his commitment today. He has flipped from Pitt to Nebraska. He was the only tight end in Pitt's 2024 recruiting class. All I got to say about this is, yes, it's a hometown flip, but this is what happens when your offense looks really bad and you go 1-3 is that you lose recruits from out of state. You get guys who are thinking about going to their hometown or their home state college, and then, yeah, that shit happens. So get it the fuck together. Okay. Week 5. Pitt is going to Blacksburg playing Virginia Tech. 8 o'clock, ACC Network, Virginia Tech whiteout game. I guess they kind of stole that from Penn State, right? But this is two very bad teams in prime time. This is an early season toilet bowl contender to just 1-3 teams. I mean, listen, Pitt's on a 3-game losing streak and have not beaten an FBS team. That is, well, Virginia Tech did beat Old Dominions. They have beaten an FBS team. They're also on a 3-game losing streak, and they just lost to Marshall by 7. So this one is going to suck, I think. Both very bad offensive teams. Decent defenses on both teams, but just... And, we don't even know who's starting a quarterback for Pitt. If Phil plays, I have no idea how this goes. I mean, even if Christian or even Nate Yarnell play, I still have no idea. My only prediction for this game is that there's going to be very few points scored, and whoever loses this game, whether it be us or Virginia Tech, is not going to be very happy. I mean, listen, for both these teams, you need to win this game or you're not making a bowl. It's as simple as that. This is win or die. Now, because this is Virginia Tech whiteout, night game, Lane Stadium, Enter Sandman, all that shit, and then, Pitt being Pitt, I think this is going to be a very stupid game. It's gonna get stupid. So I put out the question for our fans to predict the stupidest thing that happens in the game this weekend. I think we did this for the West Virginia game. I might make this a weekly thing because you guys have some really creative minds on what is going to happen in these games. We'll start off. Front of the show, Dom Campbell. Caleb Junko fake punt run for a touchdown. I think he sent this one in last week. I'm going to keep saying it until it happens. I would look forward to that one. That would be actually a good stupid thing. It'll be enjoyable. Next up, Zack at Pickett Believer. Sauls hits the post as time expires to go into overtime with the score at 3-3. Yeah, this would be dumb. Usually, I mean, Sauls is for the most part pretty good, but yeah, I could see that happening on the road with all the fucking crazy fans down there. Another friend of the show, UCF Panther at UCF Panther. We picked them off, then fumble during the return. Yeah, the vibes around this team pretty much, I think that's pretty fair. Next up, grown-ass man John Cangliosi at Jive Narduzzi. Ball hitting Bub Means in the face. You can't use something that's happened this year. Next up, friend of the show, Jimmy Murray at JMurray_4. We attempt a double pass, but the lateral gets spiked and returned for a touchdown. This is completely in play if Phil Dracovic is playing quarterback. This one terrifies me because it's like, I can imagine this. I'm imagining it in my mind's eye, just watching the broadcast on a terrible ACC network broadcast. Maybe the audio is even behind the play, and then you just see Phil spike it, and yeah, I'm gonna stop talking about that. Next up, from at official Kluges. Sorry about that, buddy. Jake Frantel, the walk-on quarterback, lines up at fullback. That'd be pretty stupid. Yeah, I like that one. Next up, from Brendan at B. Glenhart. Punt block for a touchdown. Notably, he did not say which team blocks it or scores the touchdown, but yeah, probably could happen. Punt team didn't look great last week, so it's not out of the question. I'm going to combine two of them here because two of them basically said the same thing. From I'm Sorry Keaton Slovis at H2 Pickettsburg and from at Matt Kramer _H2P. both predicting a 2-0 win. H2 Pickettsburg being more specific, saying it's on a safety by Dayon Hayes. Yeah, could definitely see that happening. Two putrid offenses. I kind of like this one. I think this might be the most realistic one that's happened so far. Okay, so these next three all sort of fit the same vibe here. First one from Kerry Zivkovic. Forced fumble on a strip sack, but 6 Pitt players combined to kick the ball out of bounds, only to give up a touchdown one play later. Next up from Proud Yinzer at Oakland Z. Narduzzi is caught on camera writing on his notepad after Jurkovic fumbles on the pitch on an attempt double reverse pass. That's actually, kind of stealing someone else's vibe there. And then the last one from Dan Wysemirski. Defense returns this interception for a tie-breaking score, but play is called back because Narduzzi called timeout just before the snap. I think that one's happened before. I do like the 6 Pitt players combining to kick the ball out of bounds. Like they just played the wrong football for a snap. My thing about the Narduzzi notepad, is that new for this year? I've never noticed it before this year, but he did get caught with it at West Virginia. Maybe at UNC too, but it looks very weird. I think it's a new addition. Next up from at BBQ Pitmaster, Pitt with 2 T's. Paris Ford sneaks on the field, immediately gets ejected for targeting. Now this would be weird because this is at Virginia Tech, and I don't know. He might have a better chance getting on the field there because he's clearly burned some bridges with the Pitt coaching staff. But yeah, he would definitely get ejected for targeting right away. From Johnny of Earth at John H Today. Phil actually falls asleep on the field before halftime. Sure, could happen. Many ways that could happen, but I think that would at least be so bad it's funny, or you can at least laugh at that. Next up from Jurgen Klopp at Catfish Niner. We try the Statue of Liberty play, but a Virginia Tech defender takes the ball instead of us and runs it down to the 1 before getting it stripped into the back of the end zone. That is way too specific, man. I think you're writing this is like fan fiction. I'm kind of rocking with this. From Bravo Echo November Esquire at FNI Host. The 2 teams only score by way of safety. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, bad offense. This one from Maryland News. This one's just sad. This one came from a place of hurt. Pitt return touchdown called back for a penalty. Key drive extended by a dead ball, unsportsmanlike call. This one was written from a place of hurt. This is supposed to be fun, lighthearted. This one is just a game prediction. Man, I feel you though. That's probably gonna happen. Next up from Ghost of Pitt Script. Hammond takes the handoff and goes 90 yards the wrong way, leading to a safety because the ball was thrown to the referee out of bounds once he got to the... Whoa, jeez. I don't think that one is very likely. I'm going to be honest. Next up from Tilo65, CV hands off the ball to a VTDT. Got to stop with the abbreviations there. That's a lot. That's a mouthful. With the way the offensive line is playing, could happen. We have a reverse Aaron Donald moment. Someone just gave me the score recap. 412 recap says, or the score prediction. Sorry, 412 recap says we win 6-3. It's a little bit more optimistic than the safeties only guy. From Mark Miller, M2_Pitt. Long bomb, pass complete. Finally, a big play. Wide receiver spikes the ball on the 1 yard line. #flail to Pitt. Now, I don't know if this is like a mistake in the hashtag, but I am imagining a guy wielding a medieval flail, and he's flailing for Pitt. So I do like that. But the spike the ball on the 1 yard line, that's someone's done that before. It was against Oregon. Maybe Oregon did it. No, this was Utah's Kalen Clay, the guy who dropped the ball right before crossing the goal line against Oregon, and then they bring it back for a touchdown. Yeah, maybe just saw that highlight recently. That one always gets me. That one's got to suck for that guy. Next up, from TW the Fan, Narduzzi references how huge Nick Patty was in a spot start. He's still got eligibility. We don't know who's starting. This one is not out of the question. Next up from JBL at Booja. Steve Peterson shows up to the game and choke slams Pat Narduzzi. Who the fuck is Steve Peterson? Who is this guy? Was the athletic director at Nebraska and Pittsburgh. He's also a recruiting coordinator for... this is just me looking at Wikipedia on the podcast. This is a great bit. Was he the guy who hired Narduzzi? Doesn't look like it. That would be strange. I don't think he has any connections to Virginia Tech. That'd be a fun one to see. Maybe a little WWE. Get Paris Ford in on it. That could be fun. Not starting Nate Yarnell. Probably not going to happen. I'm going to be honest. Even he might play, but it's probably not going to start. Punt block for a... sorry. This is from Florida Pitt fan at DHodo VP. Punt block for a first down by the offense. It's equally possible for either team. I don't know how that's going to work. Could. I guess you need a fumble or a muff punt off a block, but that would be funny. I like this one. I think this is my new favorite one. Next up from Big Game Panther. Bub Means wide open for the end zone. Ball sails right to him and he drops it. Now, I think you're combining two different things here. The ball either sails over him or he drops it. It can't be both. Can't sail to him. It's got to sail over him. And then, okay, this one's pretty good. From Cristiano Ronaldo from Luda Christian 25, just simply post the picture of Frank Beamer celebrating the 0-0 tie between Virginia Tech and Wake Forest at the end of regulation. And he says, dude is going to recreate this image. I like this one. I would like a modern take on the classic Virginia Tech Wake Forest tie. If I had to give a legitimate prediction for this game, one of the teams is going to win 13-10. Don't know who, don't know how. That's my prediction. Because none of the quarterbacks involved in this game look very good from either team. So yeah, that's our Virginia Tech preview. I've got a bunch of coworkers who went there. None of them seem particularly enthused about this team. I'm not seeing a lot of good vibes on Twitter. So this is all around a bad vibes game for all the fan bases. So yeah, I'd like to thank our audience for previewing the game for us with their fantastical predictions of what's going to go horribly wrong in this game for us. Obviously, nothing can go stupid and right. But shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome. Nothing matters. Hail to Pitt. Eat at Arby's. Let's move on into the rest of the weekend slate, shall we? Maybe preview some teams that you maybe want to watch instead of these. You might want to just change the channel. Pick a new team to follow this weekend. Thursday, not looking so good as far as the slate goes, but there is an absolute banger on Friday. At 9 o'clock on FS1, number 10 Utah goes to number 19 Oregon State. Now, Oregon State did lose to Washington State last weekend, but like I said last week, if Cam Rising is back, this is an excellent game. Even without Cam Rising, Utah has shown that they can win these big games against ranked opponents. I mean, they killed UCLA's offense last week. I mean, Utah's didn't look great, but Oregon State, these two teams are going to mash against each other. They both like to run the ball. They both have very physical defenses. I'm looking forward to watching this one. Great Friday night game. And then I guess you can watch Keaton Slovis at 10:15 on ESPN when Cincinnati goes to BYU. You could do that. I don't know why you would. As far as Saturday goes, you have USC Colorado, noon on Fox. Now, I know that Colorado got beat really bad last week by Oregon, but I think that USC has a lot worse of a defense, and that Colorado might be able to keep this one interesting, to say the least. I'm not going to say they're going to outright win, but this is going to be a shootout because USC has a a bad defense. They let Arizona State hang around, and Arizona State's worse than Colorado. Like, Colorado's not great, but I think they're going to make it interesting. I'm going to leave it there. Now, I'm putting, or at least Clemson, noon on ABC, is a road favorite against Syracuse. I think Syracuse can do it. I think Syracuse can do it in the Dome. The stadium formerly known as the Carrier Dome. Syracuse's defense is kind of for real. Their offense is somehow figuring things out with Aronde Gadsden being hurt. And Clemson's down, and they started 0-2 in ACC play. And I would not be shocked if they spiral a little bit and don't bounce back after losing to Florida State at home in overtime. And I can't believe I forgot to mention this, but the whole story they gave us, that whole Florida State Clemson broadcast about the former walk-on kicker they brought back from a accounting job in New York. There's a reason you had an accounting job. It's because you're not cut out to be a kicker. That was really mean. That's coming from a place I heard. I'm sorry. There's not a lot. There's not a lot other interesting games in the noon slate here. I mean, number 22 going to unbeaten Kentucky. I think Kentucky wins that game pretty comfortably, if I had to guess. But yeah, I would say Kentucky wins that game pretty comfortably. Kentucky might be one of the top half teams in the SEC this year. You got the weekly CW game on ACC, who got another toilet bowl. Virginia goes to Boston College. Just wanted to shout that one out. That one might be less watchable than ours. 3:30, Fox. Number 2 Michigan goes to Nebraska. This is Michigan's first real test against actually, no, Rutgers has a pretty good defense, but it would be nice to see Michigan not kind of sleepwalk through a game. They've got to turn it on at some point this year, so maybe they do it here. I don't know. I also don't think that Nebraska is really going to put up much of a fight here. Number 3:30 on ABC. Low-key kind of game of the week. Game of the week, maybe? Number 24, Kansas goes to number 3, Texas. Now, Texas is favored heavily here. They're 3-score favorites here, but I think Kansas can do it. I think they might be able to go sicko mode here. That offense, it beat them 2 years ago, and they look a lot better here. I mean, they're not going to hold Texas to a low-scoring game. I don't think that's possible with the players Kansas has on defense, but this one, I am getting the vibes of a fun shootout, and it's going to come down to whoever's got the ball last, or if you get a turnover late. Sorry, that was really tripping over my own words there. The rest of the 3:30 slate kind of stinks. 6 o'clock, the next ranked-on-ranked game. Number 13 LSU goes to number 20 Ole Miss. I think by the end of this game, Ole Miss is not going to be ranked. That is my preview, but I don't know, could get fun. I just think that Ole Miss is sort of Lane Kiffin does a lot of talking and then never has anything to show for it on the field against teams with better players. His offense is always just kind of fall flat. 7:30 ABC, number 11 Notre Dame goes to number 17 Duke. Duke's winning this game, just straight up. That's my entire preview. Duke is winning. Have fun. Yeah, I guess there's not a lot on the evening slate. I guess you're going to have to watch Pitt. That sucks. Jeez, I'm sorry now. I'll be watching the game. It's just going to make me mad. And, well, I mean, if you're not getting mad at your favorite sports team, you're not a real fan. But, yeah, that's going to do it for me this week. Bye week is coming up, so I'm going to be putting out stuff on Twitter. We are going to be doing a Q&A next week. We'll probably be talking some basketball because there's no Pitt football to talk, but definitely we'll be doing a Q&A. Watch out for that tweet coming out. And if you've been noticing the sort of Sunday recap threads we've been doing on the show account on Twitter, sort of going through play-by-play, I think I'm going to find a place to put that so it's not clogging up your Twitter feed, so just sort of be on the lookout for that. Twitter feed is at SimplifyPod. You can follow the show if you like it. Follow the hosts, or all of our ats are in the bio. And with that, we'll see you next week. Hail to Pitt.